Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Okay, so after last week's talk about the new iPads, I found myself in an Apple store this morning and, I had to pick up one of these fancy new iPad Pros. And Steve, I have to say, it's quite a thin iPad. Look, not denying it's an impressive piece of tech, like we said last week. The screen's incredible. You can tell it's better, and it should be given its new tech in the display. But again, I'm just looking at it in its, keyboard case holder with the pencil on top, $2,800. And I'm just thinking, yeah, maybe it should just be half that cost, but
Man, that's expensive.
So, and especially when I saw a MacBook Air just off to the side that had the whole package and was cheaper. So, but it was fun. It was fun to hold anyway. One other thing I wanted to touch on, and I'll overlay some video I took of a Ferris wheel that popped up here not that long ago. I went out and shot it in 4K ProRes off the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is now coming up to 2 years old now. Footage came out fine, but I thought I'd test out my 2017 iMac to see if it could handle the footage and everything, and it cut through it perfectly fine. Probably a testament to the ProRes codec, probably because Apple obviously builds the software around it, but I didn't really find it all that choppy or anything like that. It did slow down on editing some waveforms because I also edited last week's podcast on the iMac. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I could probably go with this for another 3-4 years unless they cark the OS somehow. But just as a testament that you don't need to automatically buy the new thing every year or two or whatever. You'll be surprised at how good even devices from 5-6 years ago can work.
Well, that's right. If you set them up right, you'll definitely get the rewards.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to focus a lot on AI today, or generative AI. A lot of stories coming out this week, and I guess it kind of kicked off with OpenAI's unveiling of GPT-4's Omni voice capabilities. Obviously, it was a bit of an attempt to upstage Google there, because Google had their I/O presentation this week, which is another thing I might say. I saw a couple of clips from that, and I found that a bit odd too, because it seemed like they had a whole huge live audience facing a screen, like they were trying to get halfway between what Apple's doing with the videos and the old school live presentation. I couldn't. I had to skip through some of it because apparently it went on for quite a long time. I just wanted to get some of the headlining features. But anyway, I digress. So if we go back to this GPT-4 demonstration, obviously it kind of grabbed the headlines because in the clips that you see, I encourage people to check it out. It appears that the OpenAI engineers are having these natural conversations with the AI, with the flirty voice and the seemingly emotive voice as well that came from it. But I just found something a bit off about it. It was. Well, one thing, it was like answering questions, but then it clearly had been designed to then prompt for follow-up questions, which meant you probably would be in a never-ending cycle of discussion with this thing. Obviously, there's the joke around, especially with the female voice that they were showing it with. That had to be a tech bro that came up with that. That there was obviously that running thing again. About how that works. Obviously, you could probably have different gendered voices on it and different types of voices, and you can set the modulation for how excited it should be, or how banal it should be, or how expressive it should be. Okay, on the one hand, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe we can get to that era of like the Tony Stark interacting with Jarvis thing from Iron Man, but at the same time, there's something a bit odd about it. Look, there might be some. If it gets better, there might be. You can potentially see use cases in it, and we'll actually get to a bit of that because I've included some stories where there might be some interesting, positive use cases as well. But I don't know. What were your initial thoughts of it? I just found it a curiously odd to watch. I found it obviously very interesting to watch, but just odd as well.
Well, there's this obsession with natural language AI that really, I guess it's the Turing test, and everyone sort of gets super excited. But in a lot of ways, I didn't really see this as that different to the advent of Siri. Obviously now Siri's very old hat, but you can sort of have a conversation with Siri. I don't understand that question. Could you please say it again? They're all things that are conversational. But the thing that I think is really quite interesting about this is when we move to verbal communication, human perception actually comes in, and it's interesting. They've developed intonation. They've got it responding with an additional question. They're doing a lot of the human traits. And what it actually means is one, without the text box now in the way, what we're getting is a very different experience, an experience we recognize more as human communication rather than, say, written. But it also means we don't have a record of what Siri says or what the AI here says. And so we hear what we want to hear as we interpret it through the intonation, through the way that we respond, and your AI agent responds back. So there's no record if there's an inaccuracy that we can refer to. There's nothing really we can check up. We can only think we've heard what we've heard, and we process it. And if we trust it, which we are more likely to do if the voice is nice, if it cracks a joke, or if we can hear a smile as the AI agent speaks, then we're just more likely to believe it. And next thing you know, you'll be purchasing a whole lot of stuff you didn't need, going to places you never wanted to visit, and doing things that you think everyone else are doing.
Well, at least you can bring the AI along for the journey then.
Oh, it's interesting. I think this opens a whole new world for AI and our interactions. And while I think it's a marvelous piece of technology and it's wonderful for us to be testing these things, I actually think that this is probably something that carries a lot more risks than, say, just an iterative chatbot. And it probably is something which allows humans to play tricks on themselves. So while it's a marvelous piece, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the real AI advances are in personalized health. They're in advanced materials, creating the breakthroughs that we need to really be 22nd century people. But this is interesting. I'm sure it's not going away, and it's only going to get better. So well done. But I think it's also a little bit of smoke and mirrors.
I mean, I did enjoy I did like the language translation demo that they did, which was almost akin to the Star Trek universal translator almost, if it could eventually work faster. So I thought, you can see where maybe some more specific direct things might be useful in that case. And then it just depends on how it develops over time. You would think it would get better over time as well.
Well, you'd certainly hope so. I think, the one thing that, probably one of the weaknesses in human communication is interpretation. People very often or frequently interpret things. Two people can see the same thing or hear the same speech and interpret it very differently. So, I think when you start using AI as a tool, whether it's a knowledge tool, whether it's a creative tool, I just think you have to be careful, because it's not necessarily giving you the right answer. It's just giving you an answer.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Which is important in this next topic, Bumble pairing with AI for human connection to make the perfect couple. So the idea being that, you get onto Bumble and, you can screen partners out, till you get the ones that are probably the most suited, and you're going to get the AI to help you. This one I found a bit more disturbing, because I don't know if I'd want to trust an AI to do that, because isn't that the whole part of the thing? You're supposed to be doing your own screening.
Well, this is interesting because there's two parts to this. So there's the AI matching part, and then there's the AI, I guess, protection part, where they screen out or limit the actions of rogue characters on the platform, which, it's nice to put AI in front of that, but let's face it, you probably could have done it at any time in the last 10 years if they just really just build an algorithm to do it. I mean, and by and large, this is just a problem that's being solved across social platforms now by public pressure. So it's good to see them doing it. And probably the smart thing to do is just say we use AI, whether or not it truly is AI, because it sounds great.
It talks to the marketing aspect of that, the buzzword that's come up now for this.
Exactly. And as for matching people, I mean, before we had AI, they were using data. Oh, they collect data, you do a survey and the data shows that we match you up. Well, sure, we match you up on a checkbox arrangement, but human partnerships are not based on checkboxes. So it's based on interpretations, and as we know, they can be fraught.
Absolutely. Moving on, another example, the Be My Eyes AI offers GPT-4 powered support for blind Microsoft customers. I thought this was interesting, that, you can it can tell you what it's looking at, because you can't see it. Another interesting piece of functionality.
Well, I think it's an essential piece of functionality, especially for people with disabilities. But just from reading that, not even Microsoft itself seemed to be clear on what it was offering. I understand that, you have voice prompts, and if you need some software updated, I take it you can tell Microsoft's helper and it will do it for you. And I would have thought that technology's kind of there already. I don't know. Perhaps it's got, a greater range of understanding different intonations or voice types, or maybe it learns about your disability and therefore can help you, because you can't see in a certain way or certain parts of the screen. I hope it works as well as they make it sound.
Well, it definitely could help. I mean, there's assistive tools that are built into existing devices now, and if this can provide, we'll, I guess, having a little bit of fun with the interpersonal aspect of, these AI tools being able to interact with you on a more personal level. But there might be an example of one to personalize some of that, because, current tools still are, very computery, obviously.
Well, it's true, but I mean, let's face it, a lot of us don't have any option except automatic, like upgrades. So I don't particularly know what this assistant is doing, except maybe giving you the option not to take the upgrade.
Potentially. Absolutely. And just lastly, we talked about language translation. This Interprefy app is again got AI built into it. See, we got AI into everything, and it does live translation. I guess it would do it just in conversation, but obviously it's meant for meetings in this particular respect, where you've got different participants speaking different languages. Again, that sort of Star Trek universal translator thing. Again, very useful tool. I would think, obviously, like the way it was demonstrated would seem it's working pretty well now. Obviously, faster would be better, because to get the meetings going along at a rapid clip is what we'd want. But yeah, it was another interesting tool nonetheless.
Oh, I think tools like these are amazing. And this is what I think is actually the advance in AI is being able to have a tool like this that will only get faster and will interpret language better. I think, as I sort of was headed in the first bit of this chat, is just really that, natural language, if it's really just another search bot with natural language, big deal. But when we have tools that allow us to be more productive, be more creative, and share what we're thinking with other humans, that's the sort of AI that I think really is important and essential for our future, our future societies.
Yeah, I guess, and finally, I guess, when you look at all of these topics, it's like, oh, it's AI. It's like AI this, AI that. That last one is a large language model and it knows how to interpret, but we're now going to call it AI on top of it. It's this, all of these devices have been using these tools for quite some time. It's just now I guess OpenAI comes out with ChatGPT, and it, I guess, adds to the toolbox, in terms of functionality. And it is different, obviously text-based. It was interesting seeing it, you type something in and it spits something out that's, 95% coherent. But is it just another step along in the progression, as opposed to, I think the thing that's annoying me is this whole marketing spin that's being put on it, which, you have to be cynical and suspicious about, because it's now all about selling more hardware, because, you need the latest chips to run this, don't you?
Well, they've put in planned obsolescence really into most of our hardware already, and here's another kick, along and upward. So I guess when CEOs talk about $1 trillion industry, the easiest way to get us there is by talking up their product, and they're doing an excellent job of that at the moment.
Which means I'm going to have to go right back to the Apple Store and buy that M4 iPad Pro now, aren't I? Otherwise, I won't be able to access all of these tools.
That's right. You probably have to upgrade it again next year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Steve, we might wrap it up there. I'm sure there'll be more to say on this in the coming months and years.
Well, AI is not going to go away.
Absolutely. All right, so that's it for this week's episode. We'll catch you next time.